Leonard wanted me to thank all of you for being here. He knows you're here. He draws an enormous amount of strength from people being here. He's doing really well. He wanted me to assure everybody that he's feeling well, he's feeling optimistic. In his testimony to the Parole Commission today, he, I think, was really fantastic. The hearing started at a few minutes after 9. It's just concluded, so we've been in there all this time without a break. The government witnesses went first. They consisted of a couple of retired FBI agents, a representative from the director of the FBI, and a representative of the U.S. Attorney's Office in Fargo. And then lastly, the two sons of Agent Kohler, who was one of the FBI agents who died. With the exception of the two sons, who basically just testified about their loss and that it could never really be repaired, the other testimony was essentially the same script. It's what we've heard over and over again. Leonard shot these two agents at close range. Leonard is an animal. He's never been sorry about it, and he should stay in prison for the rest of his life. No parole ever. And that was what we heard, this same version, basically, with a few words different from the government's witnesses over and over again. It gets a little bit repetitive after a while, and it also doesn't really help the Parole Commission in much sense, because it basically takes the position that if you shoot an FBI agent, you should never be paroled, and that's not what the law or the policy of this country is. So the FBI continues to take a position which is based upon vengeance and revenge, which is what gave rise to this case in the first place, and they've never changed. And even though we're still some 30 years removed from the facts, they're still reiterating the same old story as if nothing has ever changed. Our witnesses, I thought, were terrific. Peter Matheson talked about what led up to his writing his book and why he felt that this case has generated so much controversy and concern, and in particular has caused many, many people to question the integrity of the justice system, especially so far as it affects indigenous peoples, in this case Leonard Peltier. Dr. Tom Fassett talked about his work in the community in this country and internationally, and how people are so conscious of Leonard Peltier's case and how it stands as an example of a terrible travesty that's been visited upon Native Americans and the history, in the context and the history of what Native Americans have been exposed to. Cindy Malaterra testified about the parole plan that we have in place, where Leonard will go back to North Dakota, and the expectations that they have for him to be able to serve as an elder and as an example, and to give guidance and service to people in a very poor community. And then Leonard testified and answered questions for maybe an hour and a half or so about any number of different aspects, about the case itself, about what he's done in prison, about what he intends to do in the future, and answered an extensive number of questions from the hearing examiner. I then concluded with my argument, and first the FBI director's representative made an argument which was essentially the same as the testimony we'd already heard, and then I made an extensive argument as to why Leonard qualifies for parole now and why he ought to be paroled right away. At the conclusion, the hearing officer said that he has the authority to announce his recommendation right now, but he's not going to do that. He wants to think about it. This was an extraordinary, long and detailed hearing for him. I presented him with thousands of additional letters over and above what they already have, as well as some specific letters and documents for them to consider. And so he wanted to take those and read them and consider them, and he says he will make his recommendation sometime within the next 24 to 48 hours. He was not aware, he did not know whether that would be communicated to us right away, because this is a case of what they call original jurisdiction. So what that means is that the authority to make the decision on parole for Leonard rests with the full Parole Commission, all 5 commissioners. So what this guy simply does is makes a recommendation, and then there has to be a meeting and a vote of the full commission. In some sense, what that means is it will actually expedite the process, because if they were going to make a decision at a lower level, then there would be further appeals, and ultimately it would reach the same 5 people. But in this instance, the hearing officer is going to make his decision. He will make a recommendation, and then the parole commission has 21 days in which to make a final decision. Leonard asked me how I feel. I continue to feel optimistic. I felt like we got a decent hearing. We got an opportunity to present some information and some opinions and some documents which the parole commission has never received before. We got an opportunity to address, I think in significant detail, the kinds of arguments the FBI has been making all these years. And I felt that the hearing officer asked very intelligent questions and is very conscious of, as he said, this being a very high-profile case and one in which they want to both deliberate and move carefully, as well as make what they consider to be the right decision. So I'm optimistic, and we will hear what we hear, and then we'll decide where we go from there. If Leonard is not immediately paroled, we have other steps and other actions that we can take, but my sense is this is as favorable an opportunity as we've had in many years, and I think we all should feel hopeful. So that's basically what took place. Anybody have questions? Anyone want to ask questions?
Yeah, can we do it in